Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook out here at Brewski Sports Club and Barbecue, 76-3 across from Pius, right there on the corner of Blue Mound. Take their shuttles to and from the games. Brewers D-backs tonight. I'll be out here to 5 o'clock. Then from 5 to 6:30, Tommy Wirtz will be here. The big old hunk of love will be out here doing his thing with a leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook here from Pat Murphy before the game. Get all your starting lineups ready for the game as well. And we're out here in large part thanks to Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. No bubbles to fill you up. It's the perfect game day sipper. Let's talk about the game yesterday involving the Milwaukee Brewers. Yesterday losing to the San Francisco Giants. But before the game yesterday was the celebration of life for Bob Uecker. And I don't think they could have done it any better than they did. I would say the only thing, Charlie, that I kind of had issue with, I brought up earlier today, was I wish they would have given some phone books or something for Bob Costas to sit on that chair so he didn't look so small. But outside of that, I think everything else looked pretty good.
That's just you feeling bad for other short guys.
Yes.
That's just don't be short.
No question. Yes, that's what it is.
Be short.
They gave him a desk and a big old desk chair. I was jealous of the desk chair. That would be nice to have. The big old desk chair, and then they put all the guests next to him on the stage, kind of like the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson for Uecker being on all that time, which was a great idea and so forth. But they didn't account for how small he was when they put him in that desk chair and that desk. That was my only little nitpick. Other than that, because, again, I'm short, so I can relate. Other than that, perfect. Putting Uecker on the back of the baseball jerseys for the Brewer players yesterday, brilliant, loved it. The unveiling of the Uecker microphone or whatever up by the retired numbers over the outfield walls, love it. Great idea. The building structure out in right field, a lot of people were asking about that on Saturday. I just kept telling people I'm pretty sure it's a Bob Uecker experience museum, whatever they're going to put out there in right field. I think that's what that's going to be. So that obviously would be good. Naming the press box after Bob Uecker, I think that also was a classy touch and well done for Bob Uecker there too. I think that was well done. Then you start talking about all the people that were there and talking. They got Bob Costas, for God's sakes, to come in and MC this thing. This is how it sounded.
Thank you, everyone. Being Bob Uecker's broadcast partner for several years on NBC was memorable. Being his friend for a lot longer than that was meaningful. Yeah, he was one of the funniest people who ever lived. He was one of the most distinctive personalities that the great game of baseball has ever known. But beyond that, if Uecker was your friend, he was your friend for life. And in a different but still very real way, many of you folks in the ballpark today and countless other Brewer fans through the decades, whether they ever actually crossed paths with him or not, felt as if they had a friend in Bob Uecker. That he was not just the incomparable voice of your team, but through all those Wisconsin summers, he was your friend. Since Bob's passing in January, there have been other celebrations of his life in other settings. But today, here in the ballpark, which was Bob's real home, the ballpark, this is the chance for all of you to say goodbye and thank you to your friend and to the man who more than anyone else personified your team, Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker.
Pretty cool deal to be able to bring in Bob Costas to do this later in this deal. On FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin did a great job with all the different videos and everything that they had. Just outstanding production by them. The guys from Just a Bit Outside, they're the ones that produced all the videos that you saw on the Jumbotron at American Family Field. They were amazing. They did a great job, Kelly Cole and his guys. So congratulations to them for putting together a great piece. But when BA took the microphone and said, okay, we're turning the tables, Bob, we're coming back at you now. We want you to tell us what it was like from a broadcaster standpoint, working with Bob and so forth. And it was really good. And when you heard him talk about working with Uecker and then developing into that friendship from a national perspective and how he'd come up to the booth and they would do an inning together whenever he would come to Milwaukee, and how Uecker would kind of like analyze him like he was doing a tryout for the announcer, third person, the announcer's booth job and all that. It was kind of cool to hear that story. The other part about this is you got a guy like Christian Yelich, who last year when the postseason ended, you saw Yelich have the conversation with Uecker, walk away and just crying his head off. Wouldn't tell anybody what it was about, what was going on, but crying his head off. At that point, you knew something was up, and it probably wasn't good, kind of going forward with Uecker and the Brewers. Yelich was also up there on that, I don't know what you want to call it, platforms or whatever they had set up on the field. And they got to Yelich quickly because obviously he had a game to play as well. This is Yelich talking about Uecker being one of them.
Over more than 50 years as the voice of the team, I've heard so many Brewers, past and present, testify to this. But from your perspective, he wasn't just the Hall of Fame voice of the team. He was part of the team.
Yeah, I mean, it was like he was a player. You know, he'd come in every day, hang out with us in the clubhouse, tell stories, eat lunch with the guys, you know, whatever. And it was just great to sit at a table with him, have him come in the locker room and just talk about his life. And he'd go into character and he Harry Doyle and, you know, somebody threw a wild pitch the night before. He'd go up to him and reenact it, or just
a bit outside.
Exactly. And just
tried the corner and missed.
Yeah, just his whole life was unbelievable, right? He did a little bit of everything and telling stories about, you know, astronauts calling him from the space station to wish him happy birthday. And it's the only guy that has that happen to him, right? But it was awesome. And we always really just cherished those times, whether it was your first day in the big leagues or you'd been there for 10 years. You know, he treated you as though you were his friend his entire life. And I think that was one of his real gifts, you know, was making people feel like they were best friends and he'd known them forever. Even if he had no idea who you were his best friend, and just had a way of welcoming people. And, you know, we miss him every day, but he's still with us to some extent. And I think we all feel that.
I think the Bob Uecker stories and kind of the things that go along with it are interesting depending on who you're listening to and who you're talking to. I mean, you heard from a broadcaster, now you heard from a player as well, and then you get to hear from an opposing player in George Brett, who obviously was with the Royals that whole time back when the Brewers were in the AL, and would always have a conversation with Uecker every time the Brewers and the Royals played.
I really believe if it wasn't for my friendship with Robin Yount that I've really gotten to know Bob from a different light. I bought a home in Arizona about 9 years ago, and when the Royals moved to Arizona from Florida, Robin and Bob would invite me to dinner during spring training. And one year I brought a young fella on our team, Joe Randa. Joe's from Milwaukee area. Robin Yount was his favorite player, and I was having dinner with Bob and Robin that night and a few other players. And I brought Joe Randa and didn't tell Joe what we were doing and who we were having dinner with. To this day, it's Joe Randa's favorite dinner of his life because he loved Robin Yount and he loved Bob Uecker. And as of late, I've gotten, since I bought my home in Arizona, now once or twice a year, the Younts, the Bretts, and the Ueckers go out and have dinner. And my wife has fallen in love with the man. Never laughed so hard in all her life, and I'm going to miss those dinners. And again, Milwaukee, thanks for letting me come back and share some stories. I'm going to miss Bob as much as y'all.
That is a great story there by George Brett, baseball legend, obviously, with the Royals. I'm older than Charlie. Obviously, we all know that. But food has never really been my thing per se. Like Charlie, he likes food, right?
Yeah.
He enjoys food. Me, I haven't ate anything today. And I'm just fine. I just keep on moving. It's just not an important aspect necessarily of me. But I was sitting there thinking to myself yesterday when I was watching this, and then today, like the best dinner I've had of my life, got nothing. Like I couldn't tell you. I mean, I'm sure I've had great dinners with different people along the way, but if you're like, oh, what was your favorite dinner that you had over the course of your life? Was it with somebody? Something happened? Blah, blah. I got nothing. I got absolutely freaking nothing, Charlie. Is there one that stands out to you? Like, oh boy, even best lunch, best breakfast. I don't care. Pick a meal. Like I don't have one. I really do not have one.
I mean, just best overall. I think the one that I can think of that comes to mind first is going to Arizona, which is where my grandparents and my aunts live and used to live. Out there, they had this burger place. I don't know the name of the burger place. Could never ever find the burger place again whenever we went down there. But I had a burger called the O Lineman Burger. And it was massive. It was like 3 patties. I was probably like 12 years old at this point. So it would have been the biggest burger I've ever seen up to that point. And I think I ate like 3/4 of it. It had like onion rings on it, bacon, cheese sauce. It was so good. And I just remember that because that was like right when I started playing football. So I was like, an O-line burger, I'm an O-lineman. I have to have it. And it's stuck in my head forever now.
I looked it up quickly. It's at a place called Cold Beers and Cheeseburgers.
That sounds right, probably, yeah.
The website is coldbeers.com. And how old were you when they took you to this place?
Like 12, 11 or 12, yeah.
Nice. There you go. Where did you have lunch? Oh, we took him to Cold Beer and Cheeseburgers. Oh, okay.
Cheeseburgers when I was a kid, man.
I get it. It's just funny that's the name of the place. And the website is coldbeers.com, taking your 12-year-old. Now, in this city, wouldn't surprise anybody if that was going down.
No.
But
in Arizona, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, again, there are a lot of Wisconsin and Illinois transplants down there, so it's probably not as crazy considering all the people that are living down there. That was all really good. And then the last clip I want to play is Robin Yount also talking. And Yount we had on the show a couple of weeks ago. If you missed it, go back, listen to it on your Odyssey app, AUDACY, or download it wherever you download your favorite podcast at. Just search Wisconsin Sports Daily, and you'll find us. Yount still struggles talking about Uecker to this day without kind of breaking up and getting teary-eyed and choking up a little bit. So Yount warned everybody, hey, this is going to be short and sweet. I'm not going to sit here and talk forever. Check this out.
Robin, turn it around.
You're talking to the wrong side of the mic. It was the actual plug on the bottom. He wasn't paying attention.
Uecker showed me that one. I promise you I'll keep this short and sweet because I'm not sure how long I'll be able to go. But I just want to tell you, I met Uecker in 1974. Up until he passed in 2025. He was the same person through all the things he accomplished. We've seen much of it on the screen today. But he never changed throughout all those years. He just loved making people laugh. Right to the end. He told me he wasn't afraid of dying. He just didn't want to be there when it happened.
It's a great line. It's a great line. There you go. So there's Yount from yesterday. All those courtesy of FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin. Just a great line from Uecker on the way out there. And there are certain people you're just not going to replace. You know, with all due respect, sports talk show hosts come and go, right? Play-by-play guys come and go without question. But there are certain ones you're just never going to find another one to do it the way they did it. From a sports talk perspective, you will never find another Jim Rome to do a show the way he does his show. Like him or not like him, you're still never going to find anybody to do it the way he does it, and the success that he's had doing it for as long as he's done it. He's a very unique personality, does his show in a very unique way, and that's what separates him. And Uecker, again, same type of deal. And they talked about it, and I agree as far as the nuts and bolts of being a play-by-play announcer and take all the funny stuff out and all the storytelling, just straight play-by-play. Uecker was still damn good. Like, regardless, he was still really good at what he did as a play-by-play announcer. And then you add in the storytelling and all the experiences and everything that he had to go along with it. And then all the celebrities that would come and join him in the booth from time to time as they would travel around the country. Also amazing. The whole idea of George Steinbrenner trying to lure Uecker to the Yankees to be a play-by-play guy with the Yankees, and Uecker talking about the idea of, I just want to see how much those guys were getting paid. I just want to see how much more money they were making than what I was making, in Milwaukee at that point. That's why I agreed to go talk to him. There was never any concern from him or anybody else that he would actually leave. But the one thing I didn't know from that whole thing yesterday was that he actually considered retiring from play-by-play announcer duties from the Brewers when Mark bought that team. When Bud and Wendy Selig-Priebe got out and Mark was going to buy it, Mark texted him, texted Yount, or reached out, called, whatever. Yount gets back to him, boom, they talk. Nothing from Uecker. Wendy Selig-Priebe, as Mark puts it, was the reason why Uecker decided to meet with him when they were coming in for the owners' meetings and they were going to vote Mark in or whatever, because it was in Arizona where Bob lived. So Bob's like, fine, you got 30 minutes, go. And as Mark puts it, they talked for 3 or 4 hours, and Bob Uecker was in. But there was a chance that Bob Uecker, if he didn't like what he heard, may have been done. And we would have missed all of this for the last couple of decades with Bob Uecker. And how crazy would that have been, Charlie?
That would have sucked. I would have missed Bob Uecker my whole life.
Completely.
Basically.
Yeah.
That would have been really awful to hear the stories about the legend that was Bob Uecker and why so many people loved him and just the power he had within the city. I also think what I've heard about Bob is that even if he were to have walked away, I don't think he could have stayed away too long. I think he loved being in that booth, man. And you could hear every time you listened to a game that he was calling. He just loved being a part of that team and being in that booth and being able to talk baseball every day of his life. I mean, nobody just embodied what it meant to be a Milwaukee baseball fan and teammate like Bob Uecker.
The other thing that was really good, we don't have the audio of, but Ted Simmons, the longtime Brewers catcher who was here, when he gets to Milwaukee, and he had been in St. Louis with the Cardinals or whatever, and him and Uecker meet, and Uecker doesn't think Ted even knows him. He's like, I played for the Cardinals. Yeah, I know who you are. But it was interesting here, Ted Simmons, who is, just telling you right now, I've known Ted, no BS meter, like just straight to you. You may not like what I'm going to tell you, but this is what I think, right? And him just talking about the idea of going to Uecker to talk baseball advice, dealing with a couple pitchers that were like obsessed with throwing one single pitch, both of them different, but obsessed with their one pitch and not wanting to go away from it in different situations. And him going to Uecker and talking to him, and Uecker's like, yeah, you can talk to him, but you better be careful because they may come after you. So that was good. Everybody started laughing. But just his take was respecting Uecker and how hard it is to be a backup catcher in Major League Baseball. He brought up Ned Yost being the backup catcher in Milwaukee as well. He brought up Jim Leland. He was a backup catcher. How difficult that position is. And then to do it at the Major League level, not knowing when you're going to get to play, who you're going to be catching, when you're actually going to hit. Like, all of that is an unknown. And as he put it, it's one of the most difficult jobs to do. So you really have to know what's going on. And he respected that part of it about Uecker that nobody else talked about the entire day but Ted Simmons. That was great insight, Charlie.
I mean, I'm sure the backup catcher is the person hearing every pitcher's complaints. You're the person they're practicing with all the time. I'm sure they're always saying things about other pitchers getting opportunities or other players around them getting a nice opportunity compared to them. Or you're in the dugout with your teammates over there and you're hanging out just constantly on the bench with everybody else that's constantly on the bench and you just hear everything. I think it's extremely important to any team that wants to be successful that you have a player kind of like that on your team. I think that's part of the reason the Cubs won the World Series in 2016 is because you had a David Ross on your bench to kind of be there and be everybody's kind of uncle in that situation and help keep things under control. I think that's part of the reason a guy like Jose Quintana for the Milwaukee Brewers has been so important this year. He's not a backup catcher, but I think he's playing that same kind of role that I think is generally played by a backup catcher. And again, Bob Uecker, I think more than anybody would understand that, not only just being a backup catcher, but being around these players from a announcer standpoint all the time. He knows how to, or he knew how to understand what these players were feeling because he's seen so many different players feel so many different ways. I mean, that's the perfect person to go talk to.
Yeah, no question about it. I'd mentioned before this segment started that went really long. I apologize for that. But at brewerfanatic.com, they wrote a piece talking about the idea of naming it Uecker Field. And again, you can have sponsors, right? And however you want to do it. At one point, it was, what was it, at Candlestick Park or something like that when they made the name change in San Francisco for their stadium. So there is a way to do it. I don't think you will see it get to the point of naming it Uecker Field. I think the press box is a great idea. I have no problem for that whatsoever. I think, multiple statues. You got the statue out front, and you got the statue towards the top of the stadium, kind of mimicking the whole front row. And he's in like the last row, and people go up there and get their name changed and all of that. That also is good. In this article, it says the Brewers receive $4 million per year from American Family Insurance to call their home park that, but you're not getting a penny of that. Thus, I'll renew a call I've made several times now. Brewers fans should simply call that place Uecker Field or the Uke, writes Matthew Trueblood on brewerfanatic.com. This is the thing. They're not going to sell the sponsorship rights for that stadium. Like, that is just not going to be a thing. You're delusional if you think that's going to be a thing. Now, if there's a way to word it so where it's at Uecker Field and whatever the front part of it is, American Family Stadium, right? American Family Stadium at Uecker Field, I think they're good with that, right? Miller Stadium at Uecker Field, I think they're okay with that. But I don't think there's any chance they give up sponsorship rights to name it after Uecker and not sponsor it ever again. They're in a small market. They need that money.
No, there's too much money involved in that, like you're saying. And I also feel like, I don't know, the way the Brewers have gone about naming their stadiums with the different sponsors in the past, I think has worked well. I think it rolls off the tongue well. I think there's something to that jumbling all these things together kind of takes away from what that means to name the field after somebody. And because of that, I think just naming the press box after him is very fitting. And also, he's getting the respect he deserves without being jumbled in with a random sponsor.
It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at Brewski Sports Club and Barbecue. Coming out here, check it out. Love the wings. All their barbecue stuff is good. Brisket sandwiches, smoked sausage sandwiches. They've got pulled chicken going on. You can also get the open-faced meatloaf sandwiches. Get a barbecue platter of meatloaf as well. All kinds of great food. Check it out here. And then, of course, Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. No bubbles to fill you up. It's the perfect game day sipper. Come on out, hang out, take the shuttle to and from the Brewers game tonight and before and after every home game. Make Brewskis your destination before and after games. Coming up on the other side of a quick timeout, we're going to talk about the left tackle position. And do you think this team is better served by having Jordan Morgan left tackle over Rasheed Walker? Time now for your fan weather forecast. 69 degrees, mostly cloudy skies right now. This is the high for today. Low tonight of 49. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's here at Brewski Sports Club on 76th Street across from Pius. So right here by the lights by Blue Mountain, 76th and Blue Mountain, brought to you by Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea, real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink with no bubbles to fill you up. It's the perfect game day sipper. Come on out, have one, have some great barbecue out here at Brewski's. Maybe a Skittle shot on the way out onto the shuttle to and from the Brewers game, and enjoy a good time tonight. Brewers D-backs, first pitch 6:40. Take the shuttles to and from the game tonight, 5 o'clock. Be here after me will be Tommy Wirtz, the big old hunk of love, with the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook from 5 until 6:30 this afternoon. And I'm sure Tommy will sign autographs and do everything that he always does. Also, don't forget Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's going to be where you're going to want to be for all of your fantasy football draft going forward here. The second level of the Potawatomi Sportsbook has a private elevator. That is what you're going to get access to, you and all of your team members, right? 14-team league or smaller. You get a smorgasbord of food options for you guys to eat while you're doing the draft. You each get 3 drink tickets, private access to the elevator, like I said. Plus, you're looking straight ahead at the wall of games that they have on at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, including a 2,000 square foot center screen, folks. 2,000 square foot center screen with over 30 games at one point. You get the board. You get all the stickers for the board for your team, and all the players are being drafted, and a podium to make all of your picks. I don't know if they're doing this past this year. Could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm telling you, everybody in your league will be talking about this draft going forward. Check them out today. Find out how much it costs. Go to Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers a little bit here before we get into Charlie's Sounds of the Day coming up in the next segment. Do you think this team is better served by having Jordan Morgan at left tackle over Rasheed Walker? Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Sound off with a recorded voice message on the Odyssey app. Earlier today on the Pack-A-Day radio show with Andy Herman, he made a comment about this battle between Jordan Morgan and Rasheed Walker. And this is what he said.
That Rasheed Walker might start due to injuries, but he has everything to play for, potentially $20 million per year if he goes out and has a good season. And he got outplayed by Jordan Morgan for that potential starting left tackle spot. So that's going to be really interesting for Rasheed Walker as well. So Clifford, Heath, Hardman, Sims, Swinson, Telfort, Monk, Jennings, Simmons, and Walker, the 10 players to me that hurt themselves during camp.
Complete and utter crap is what that is. Complete and utter crap. Listen, you are not going to sell me on somebody being outplayed when that somebody is hurt a majority of camp and not playing. I love Andy Herman, but you all know I'm a Rasheed Walker defender in this deal, and he's gotten screwed from day one. Before this thing even started, all the nonsense talk from the Packers coaching staff was, well, it's going to be a battle. We're going to have to see what Rasheed Walker does because we've had our eyes closed the entire time he's played in Green Bay. We don't know how good he is. Now, Jordan Morgan, you can make that statement. Absolutely make that statement because he couldn't stay himself on the field last year because he kept getting hurt, like Marshawn Lloyd. So you didn't really know what you had. We knew this. He wasn't a tackle. He wasn't good enough to play tackle last year. So now this year you come in knowing, okay, Rasheed Walker's going last year of his deal. We need Jordan Morgan to win this left tackle spot so we don't have to pay Rasheed Walker in the offseason. That's going to be the goal. That's how we want this to play out. And then what happened? Banks gets hurt at left guard, not to mention the fact he's false starting and everything else earlier in training camp. Nobody's talking about that, though. So he's at left guard who you paid all this money to. Hopefully that works out. Elton Jenkins gets hit in the back. He hasn't been out there either at this point. Sean Ryan has consistently been out there. Zach Tom has been consistently out there. That's it. Center, left guard, left tackle, rotating door of people playing from the center to the left side of the offensive line. And now you want me to buy that he got outplayed when he's been hurt, missing time this entire time in Rasheed Walker. The question is pretty nice cut and dry. I think Charlie did a great job of writing this up. Do you think this team is better served by having Jordan Morgan at left tackle over Rasheed Walker? Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250. What say you, Charlie?
No, I don't think so. I think, yes, by definition, Jordan Morgan outplayed Rasheed Walker in the preseason because Rasheed Walker just didn't really play at all. So yeah, Jordan Morgan outplayed him. You can say that. That's a factual statement. At the same time, I don't really think Jordan Morgan did enough to say he's a starting left tackle in the NFL. I think Rasheed Walker has shown us that in the past. I don't think Jordan Morgan really went out there and was just lights out crazy. He was a lot better each game. So in the first game, he struggled a little bit. Second game, he was a little bit better. In this last game, I thought he was pretty solid for the majority of the time he was out there. I think when I look at a Jordan Morgan at this point in his career, if you go out there and you start him at left tackle and the situation gets so much worse and you have to put Rasheed Walker back at left tackle, I think you are at a much worse position than when you were if you were just to let Rasheed Walker play left tackle no matter what. Yes, you don't really want to end up paying Rasheed Walker. I don't think the Packers were planning on paying Rasheed Walker. I think if they were planning on paying him, they probably would have just paid him already before he has an even better season this year than he has in the past, or give him the opportunity to have a better season this year than he has in the past. If you really wanted him to be around, then you would have just paid him. At this point, I don't think it matters what he does on the field. You're going to let him walk. So Jordan Moore is going to be the future.
So you bring in Berrien, right? The offensive lineman from the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday, and everybody says, well, that's because, Telford and Donovan Jennings, those guys haven't done enough. So he's going to come in and be that guy into that rotation. Belton, he hasn't been as consistent as you like either. What if they're going to trade Rasheed Walker? What if they're going to make damn sure Jordan Morgan's the starting left tackle? There's going to be no debate about who the left tackle is because we have nobody else that can play the position outside of Jordan Morgan. So we're going to trade Rasheed Walker. What if they move Rasheed Walker? I speculated earlier today. All this talk about what's going on in Dallas with Micah Parsons. Dude's like laying on a trainer's table during the game. All this other nonsense going on out there. Okay, well, what if it's Rasheed Walker involved in that deal with a couple of draft picks to help out their offensive line situation in Dallas, and you get, Micah Parsons back? What if Rasheed Walker is traded for, I don't know, second-round pick, third-round pick, because the team intends to sign him to an extension at that point? I'm telling you right now, if that happens, I'm going to be hot if they trade him for a draft pick at this point and essentially say to the guy that couldn't stay healthy last year, well, you need to stay healthy this year because we got nobody behind you to play left tackle. You want to talk about a roll of a dice that can completely engulf this offense in flames if they're wrong. That is a huge gamble, but it would eliminate any type of talk about who should be the left tackle because he'd be the only one capable of playing it at that point, Charlie.
I mean, if you were to move Rasheed Walker for just a pick, you better have one of the best cut day kind of free agency periods out of any team in the NFL at that point. Because if you're going to move on from him there and put Jordan Morgan, a guy that you're not really 100% sure about at that position right away at left tackle, then you have to make sure that your backup left guard is going to be fine moving forward here. So you have to go find a player there because Aaron Banks obviously can't stay on the field. You still need to make sure that your depth at the cornerback position is going to be there because Nate Hobbs hasn't really been able to stay healthy, and we don't really know about the rest of those guys and what the kind of ceiling is for that group. And then defensive line as well. I think if you're going to make a move like this, again, you have to have plans for everywhere else on the field as well. And you have to start thinking about these other positions that have problems because right now left tackle is not a problem for you, but we're making it a problem. And if you're going to make it a problem, then you need solutions for other problems on the field.
That's correct. The other part about this, when we talk about this Packers offensive line, is how deep really are they on this offensive line as we currently sit here right now, right? So Belton's a second-round pick. He's played right tackle. He's played right guard. He's been on the right side. So, okay, that's one of your main backups. Jennings, they've had him running up there early on in games at right guard. That's another one. Ryan is your backup center. That's got to go over if Elton Jenkins can't stay healthy this year. Monk appears to be on his way out. If you listen to Paul Brettel earlier from ESPN Lacrosse, he very well may get cut. They just had him last year in the draft, so he might be on his way out. The left guard spot with Banks and this back issue that seemingly will not stop. If he can't stay on the field, that's going to take that sixth man, whoever that is, and put them into that offensive line on a game-by-game basis. And I promise you, there is a reason why the sixth offensive lineman is the sixth offensive lineman at this point, Charlie. And then obviously the left tackle position. They clearly are not deep enough to do this. And like you said, as cuts come, will they invest in adding one or two offensive linemen that get cut from other teams?
I don't really think they have any choice but to. I think you, again, need to make sure Jordan Love stays healthy this season. Like, you need to make sure Josh Jacobs stays healthy this season. If he's going to be an important part of that offense, again, like we keep hearing, it's going to be a run-first offense behind Josh Jacobs, and then you got to figure out how to keep him healthy. If you're going to do that, then you need as many healthy offensive linemen who are capable of running that system as you can get.
Yeah, no question. He is Charlie using Steve Sparky Fifer here, talking about that left tackle position. And the question on the table is relatively a simple one, like I said before. And all it is do you think this team is better served by having Jordan Morgan as a left tackle over Rasheed Walker? I'll say this. For the future of this organization, they are better served to have him as a left tackle over Rasheed Walker. Short term, I'm not convinced Jordan Morgan is going to play that position better than Rasheed Walker this year, Charlie.
No, I don't think so. And honestly, I don't know if long-term Jordan Morgan plays that position better than Rasheed Walker. I'm with you. I really like Rasheed Walker. I think they got a steal for him. You keep riding that until really you can't afford to ride it anymore. And if that's the case, that he's going to all of a sudden jump through the roof with what he's asking for money, then yeah, you move on. But right now you have him under contract for a steal. I think keep riding with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Coming up next, we'll get to Charlie's Sounds of the Day, his top 3 clips from around the world of sports straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And speaking of Wendy's, the meal of misfortune devised by Wednesday Adams is available now at Wendy's, where you must surrender to your fate. It comes with rest and 10-piece nugs, small cursed and crispy fries, and small Raven's Blood Frosty, and of course 2 of 4 mysterious dips of dread to up the torment. In Wednesday's words, it's pure torture and tribute to the suffering that awaits us all from the dips of dread. And the best part is, you never know what you'll get, each uniquely insufferable in its own torturous way. It's got to be Wendy's. Watch Wednesday Season 2 only on Netflix, available for limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's while supplies last. Out here at Brewski Sports Club and Barbecue. Come on out, say hi. Brought to you by Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink with no bubbles to fill you up. It's the perfect game day sipper. Check out his Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Out here today, we got Brewski Sports Club and Barbecue on 76th Street, right across from Pies High School at the corner of Blue Mound. Take their shuttles to and from Brewers games. Shuttles all lined up in front of the bar tonight, getting ready to take people to the Brewers and D-backs tonight, game 1 of a 4-game set. 6:40 first pitch. Tommy Wirtz will be out here from 5 until 6:30 right after I'm done. The leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. See Sparky Fifer with you. Brewski Sports Club and Barbecue. Come on out. Hang out 76th Street right across from Pius. Great place to come hang out before and after the game or sit here and watch the game. That works too. Got shuttles to and from the game right down the street from the stadium. And we're here because of Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea made with real iced tea and real vodka. Refreshingly smooth and easy to drink with no bubbles to fill you up. It's the perfect game day sipper. Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. All right, let's talk a little bit about Charlie's Sounds of the Day.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Fan.
All right, let's go. Charlie, Sounds of the Day. What do you got?
All right, so first up, we're going to head over to foul territory where AJ Pearson, ski friend of the show, was discussing a conversation he was having with Cardinals manager Ali Marmol and advice that agents are giving to their players as of today.
The thing about Ali we were talking to him about different players around the league, and he's like, the things that are incentivized are home runs and walks, and they don't care about strikeouts. But he said it's hard to build offenses around 9 guys that strike out a lot, walk a lot, and hit home runs because you don't have 9 guys that can do that on an efficient enough level to score enough runs. So you also have to have the other guys, but they don't get paid to do that. And then we asked him, well, why don't you guys steal more bases? And he said, well, my thing about that is we tell guys to go a lot of times. They don't go because if they get thrown out, it hurts them in salary later on, arbitration, and when they become a free agent. Well, you only are 89% safe instead of 92% safe. So they don't want to go as much. And the difference is when I played, and I'm sure when Kratz played, we didn't think about this stuff. We just wanted to play and win and just do whatever to help. Now it's agents are in guys' ears saying, hey, man, if you get thrown out again, it's going to really hurt your percentage. Like that's the difference. All the information out there is almost sometimes a detriment to what Kratz just said, is just win the game and figure out a way to score runs and be the best team you can be.
I don't know how you fix it other than to find a manager that can convince their players that his way is the best way. If you're going to have a manager like Ali Marmol that's going to bend down for his players and not push the issue and not do what Pat Murphy does, and it's not going to be an organizational philosophy. Not only does it have to be the manager that pushes that narrative, the general manager has to push that narrative. The president of baseball operations has to push that narrative. Your core leaders in that locker room, in that clubhouse, they have to push that narrative at the end of the day if you want everybody to buy in and play the style of baseball that the Milwaukee Brewers do, that the St. Louis Cardinals and many other teams don't. That's an organizational switch. And I don't know how many teams are willing to do that. I mean, there are many in Pittsburgh that want the Pirates to make that organizational switch, but to this point, they have not done that, Charlie.
No, you haven't. I think part of it is having a young team that's in line with a newer manager like the Milwaukee Brewers had. I think it helped that once Craig Counsell was out of there, they kind of retooled that whole lineup with younger guys that have been in the system around a newer manager like Pat Murphy. I think the Pirates right now, they keep doing it off kilter. They fire a manager halfway through the season and then have a really young team that they don't give a good manager or a manager that's been there for 2.5 years who's already checked out and now all of a sudden has a really young team who's going to be checked out. You have to line it up, kind of like a lot of the NFL teams try to do more recently. That's why the Bears gave Ryan Poles that extension, because they want their young team matched up with their young front office long term. That's what the Brewers are doing, and that's what the Pirates should want to do moving forward here.
All right, clip number 2.
Next up here, we're going to head over to Get Up on ESPN, where Dan Orlovsky, ESPN NFL analyst, was discussing why it's such a coin flip to find a franchise quarterback nowadays in the NFL.
The most important things for a quarterback are the ones that you can't touch, see, record, or measure. The physical comes second when it comes to importance, and all those things that you just can't touch and you can't measure and you can't time are the most important things. And that's contrary to every other position. Every other position, the physical is the most important stuff. At the starting point, the size, the speed, the strength, how much you bench, how fast you are, all that is the most for every other position. So if you're a talent evaluator, a GM, a scout, all those things that you're looking at for all those other positions come primary. And it becomes secondary for the quarterback. It's about the leadership. It's about the accountability. It's about the responsibility. It's about the intellect. It's about the processing. It's about the communication. I don't know how to measure that. And I think that's the starting point of why guys and teams consistently get it so coin flip and or wrong.
And you're talking about the mind and how the quarterback
Everything.
processes. And I would say in conjunction with that, it's the heart. Now that's also prevalent in every other position, but it's a combination of those two things that sometimes they don't test that at the combine.
Yeah,
they don't
and
test it in the offseason.
I've often looked at it like this. If you're a team with the number one draft pick and you're taking a defensive end, you have to have physical traits that are 6'5", 270 pounds. You bench press 225, 40 times. You run 4.5. Myles Garrett. That's a mandate. If you're taking the number one pick and it's a quarterback, speed, okay. Are you 6'5" or 6'3"? Okay. Are you 4'8" or 4'4"? Okay. How smart are you? How much can you handle accountability? What's your work ethic like? How much can you handle responsibility? How much are you great at communicating to all kinds of different people? How do you handle failure? How do you handle success? That stuff is so much more important than those physical measures.
I'd say a lot of what he's talking about is very true. And I respect Orlovsky because I think he does a really good job. But a lot of what you're asking a team to find out when it comes to that can only be found out not by talking to the dude. Yeah, I mean, you could put plays up on a dry erase board and do the X's and O's thing like Gruden does and all of that. And that helps, obviously. But you're only going to find out that information from talking to players, talking to coaches, talking to different people in their background to find out whether or not you really have the guy that you want at the end of the day. He's 100% correct when it comes to what you want in your quarterback as far as the leader, the guy that's smart, the guy that knows where he's supposed to be and where everybody else is supposed to be, the guy that takes accountability if he screws up and doesn't pass the buck on somebody else for screwing up. He just falls on the sword. And as a guy that's able to connect with people from all different backgrounds in that locker room and get them to all buy in and follow him in that locker room. And that's something that, Brett Favre back in the day did a really, really good job of as far as making sure they were all buying into him, both sides of the ball, not just offense, but offense and defense, so that he kind of was that guy in that locker room, him and Reggie White. At the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers, I think there was some buy-in there as well. I don't know if it was to the same level of Brett, but I know there was definitely some buy-in where guys were going to follow Aaron to wherever Aaron wanted to take him at the end of the day. I think it's a huge point. And if you look back to the Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf draft, where there was all that conversation about who should go 1 overall, Manning or Leaf, Bill Polian went with Peyton Manning, right? Bloodlines, legacy, everything checked out with all the guys at Tennessee loved him, played hard for him, all of that stuff. And he went that way. And there was some questions with Ryan Leaf. And, he got put into a bad situation where he went with the Chargers. It backfired, and he had demons off the field that he had to deal with as well. And it didn't work out. That he very easily could have went the other way. Indy could have ended up with Ryan Leaf because he had the stronger arm. He had the intangible, the physical traits more than Peyton Manning did. But they didn't. They went the other way because of the intangibles that we talked about with Dan Orlovsky there. All right, one more.
And last up here, we're going to head over to MLB Now, where the crew over there on MLB Network was discussing if William Contreras the other night was up to no good after he tossed his bat in front of San Francisco Giants first baseman Dominic Smith on a pop-up in foul territory.
William Contreras, is he up to no good? You don't need to know the situation. Just watch. Dom Smith coming over to make the play, and then whoop. That is egregious, Jake. Is he up to no good?
Oh, he's absolutely up to no good. This is the edgiest Milwaukee Brewer. And look, I love that Dom Smith went and called him out on it. This is not the way the Brewers do anything or representation of them. He certainly was up to no good right there. Look, there's sportsmanship involved, and I have a big problem when it crosses the line of sportsmanship and respect to the opponent.
That's a good point. That's almost a dangerous, actually is a dangerous situation, putting a bat toward a guy's feet when he's looking up in the air. You're right.
Well, you know my answer on this. If you have to ask, of course, they're always up to no good. That's human nature. He wants to do well,
John knows the heart of it.
That was a kind of a minor league version of the Clemens Piazza, the way he did it. The only problem he had there is his aim was off. He missed him.
The Contreras brothers are it's like an old school cop on the beat throwing his nightstick along the sidewalk. You remember that in New York.
I was at that game on Saturday night when he did that, and I was like, oh, man. Like, that dude could have fell on that bat or whatever the case may be. But the ultimate there was their reaction. Clearly, they had not seen it. They play it, and what happens? They all start laughing. Like, nobody was like, oh, my God, I can't believe he did that. They should do something. They all started laughing like, dude, that's funny. That's kind of funny that he just did that, right? So it was no hard feelings. Nobody was overly over the top insulted. But, yes, it was a dangerous play. Had he stepped on that bat, he could have seriously hurt himself at that point. So you kids at home, don't get any ideas about doing that in your youth baseball game, tossing a bat in front of somebody trying to field a foul ball in foul territory. Not necessarily a great idea. All right, take a quick time out. Come back on the other side. Time to get to our green and gold update. Brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll talk about some of the names that have been cut so far in the NFL as we continue to wait for the Green Bay Packers cuts to come in. And are there any fits maybe for this Packers roster going forward? We'll do that straight ahead. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at Brewski Sports Club and Barbecue. Brought to you by Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. Professionally smooth and easy to drink. No bubbles to fill you up. It's the perfect game day sipper, I should say. Brewers D-backs tonight, 6:41 pitch. Leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, will follow me out here at Brewski's from 5 until 6:30. The barbecue is outstanding. I've come here for many years. The wings, highly suggest the wings. And they got barbecue platters, barbecue different sandwiches. The meatloaf is outstanding. All kinds of great food that you can have out here at Brewski's. And I always tell people, get the Skittle shot. You will not regret it at the end of the day. Green and Gold update straight ahead here on The Fan.